Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Dhamma, Asmai Shri Gurave Namah. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam, Trailokyam Sacharacharam, Atpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita, Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha, Tvameva Vidya Dravinam, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Matra Rupena Sanstita, Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sanstita, Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Buddhi Rupena Sanstita, Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Lakshmi Rupena Sanstita, Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha. Push this button on the screen here. Can you all see me and we're all logged on? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can see you, Chan.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, we can.
So, where we left off our story last week, we're in the story of Mahasena, and the sage Tangara said to his son, show the boy around the place. So the Muni Putra, the son of the sage, takes the subtle body of Mahasena inside the hill. It's a whole universe. And they go near the moon and they go near the sun and stars. And then he sees that the Muni Putra has made himself all the various gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra, etc. Then they come out of the hill, and the Muni Putra shoves his subtle body back in his physical body, which was lying in a hollow. Gets up, and what do you know? A whole lot of time has passed. Maybe millions of years, we don't know. Mountains have fallen down, plains have risen up, rivers have changed their courses, and everyone that Mahasena loved has been dead for centuries. And he's grieving. And then Muni Putra says, why is this strange condition come upon you? Is this something that you're required to do by the rules of your caste? He says, no, everybody I've loved is gone. My relatives are gone. And then the Muni Putra says, well, this is strange. You may grieve your parents passing, you may grieve your grandparents passing, but what about your great-grandparents? Do you grieve their death? What about your great-great-grandparents passing? Do you grieve their death? You're related to them all. Why do you grieve them? One of the things he's pointing out is it's not the state of the dead that we're concerned with. It's my relationship with it causes me the suffering. So, Mark, do you remember where we were?
I have written down that we're on number 37.
Say again.
I've written down that we're on number 37.
Okay, again, the volume is too low. I think that will push it up. Okay, we're in, I think now in chapter 13. Is that correct, Ganesh?
Yeah, chapter 13, and I think Mark said.
Oh dear, I did the
verse
opposite. I
37.
made it softer instead of louder. Say something.
We are on chapter 13. Mark said we are on verse 37.
Okay, now I think I've got the volume set correctly. All right. Go ahead, please.
Rajan Vibrushakastvam vai kan vinashtan prashochasi dehastvam deha bhinno va deha sanghata rupakah. King, reflect on who you are and which lost ones you are grieving for. Are you the body or different from it? The body is of the nature of a combination.
So the Muni Putra begins to instruct the king in our classic Vedantic meditation of Drik Drishya Viveka, the discrimination between the seer and the seen, between the subject and all the objects, between the knower and the known. If it is Noah Bo, then it's not me. So we start with the body itself. Are you your body, or is the body yours? Next verse.
Sanghatasyaikadeshasya va nasha uchyate pratikshanam tvekadesha nasho dehasya bhavitah mutrocharashlashema nakakeshade santatam kshayah sarvatmanatu sanghata nasho nahi vibhavyate. On account of the loss of the combination or a part of it, its loss is declared. But the loss of a small part of the body, every moment continually, such as urine, excrement, phlegm, nails, and hair, is recognized. But the loss of the combination entirely is indeed not thought of.
So, science says we replace all the cells in our bodies every 7 years. In a sense, we're constantly dying. Do you grieve the loss of feces and urine? Do you clip your nails and grieve the loss of your nails? When you go to the barber shop and get a haircut, do you grieve the loss of your hair? Well, some of us might, because we're getting thin on top. Anyway, but whatever it is, have you been diminished because the body's been diminished. No. The body, in fact, is an ever-changing aggregate, a combination of elements. But I know all the changes in the body. Just like I know a pot in front of me. Going on.
Bhratra destva deham shahasya prithivya sputam antato deha gaganam avinashyasti kevalam. The parts of the body of your brother and others should evidently be in the earth and the like after they are dead. Finally, the space of the body only remains imperishable.
So the space is what is imperishable, not the elements of the body. So the easiest way to look at it is if you look at the glass. There's space inside the glass, there's room space outside the glass. With the destruction of the glass, is the space in any way altered or destroyed? So we're studying 9th chapter of Gita, where Krishna thunders, I am not in them, they are in me. And he goes on to actually say, well, in truth, they're not even really in me. So the easiest way to understand this part of the teaching is to go to the dream state. Do you incarnate into a dream? No. It feels like I'm inside the dream body. It feels like the dream body is me or mine. But I am not in the dream body. The dream body is in me. So the Muni Putra is saying, this is really no different. Going on.
Natvam deha kintu dehi maddehe iti bhashase yatha madvastramityevam sadehastvam katham vada. You are not the body, but the possessor of the body. You say my body as you say my garment. Tell me, how can you be that body?
Yes. So I wear my clothes, the clothes are mine. I am not them. I am not a shoe. I am not a kurta. They are mine. So also, the body is no different. This is a very interesting meditation, especially those of us who may be a little older. If you sit still so nothing hurts, you don't feel any different than you did as a youth. You get up and start to walk around, you feel the aches and pains, or you look into a mirror and you see the thinning hair and the sagging skin. Oh my God, what happened? But the you is actually eternal. It's eternal. Going on, next one.
Yaditvam deha bhinnosi sambandha konya deha kaihi yatha bhrata divasobhi nasti sambandha leshakah avisheshat tachha riraihi vinashtaiste katham shucha. If you are different from the body, what is the relationship with other bodies? As there is not even a little relationship with the clothes of your brothers and others on account of the absence of distinction between the body and the clothes, both being considered as mine, how can there be sorrow for you by the loss of their bodies?
So if a relative of yours sends their garments to the goodwill of the Salvation Army, do you grieve that? No. So if you are not your body, other people are not theirs either, whether they know that or not. Now, we're entering into a part of the teaching that is very challenging. This is not for beginners. I was talking to a person today, and she was upset because her sister's best friend died suddenly. Had a blood clot, died. She's quite distraught. What do we do as yogis? We are compassionate, we are supportive, we are loving. We say words of comfort. But in our own yoga, if you look at Gita, the first teachings of Krishna is he's poking Arjuna. Finally, Arjuna surrenders. And then Lord Krishna gives the first teaching. Chapter 2, verse 11. You grieve for whom you should not grieve, though you speak words of wisdom. Everything you've said is valid. The wise grieve neither for the living nor the dead. And if we enter deeply into what this chapter is trying to teach us, we can get an insight into that incredibly challenging verse. Which basically says all bodies are born, they grow up, they grow old, they get sick and they die. Why grieve over the inevitable? The subtle body leaves the physical body and then according to its vasanas takes up another body. Certain is death for the born, certain is birth for the dead, Krishna says. Then he goes on to say that the self in me is unborn, does not die. Next verse.
Machariram madakshani matprano manmanastviti vadan bhavan kim swarupo vadame pruchhate nrupa. King, tell me who am asking you. Tell me who I'm asking you. Of what nature are you? While saying, my body, my organs of sense, my vital energy or breath, my mind.
So here he briefly takes Mahasena through the negation of the Panchakosha, the five sheaths. I am not the body, I'm the knower of the body. I am not the prana, I'm the knower of the prana. I am not the mind, I'm the knower of the mind. I am not the buddhi, the intellect, I'm the knower of the thoughts. I'm not even the anandamaya kosha, the bliss of unconsciousness, because through memory I know deep sleep. Then who am I? Who is the one who illumines the five koshas? Is ever distinct from them. So in a mind made pure and still, through yamas and niyamas, through the qualifications of a fit student, through intense devotion, all sorts of practices to purify the mind. When your mind is subtle, you can begin to see the beginning and the end of a thought. In the space between the thoughts, with the attentive faculty introverted, reversed, no longer looking at phenomena, seeing if we can notice who or what is it who knows the phenomena. And again, it is like trying to see your eyes. It is like trying to taste your tongue. It is like trying to shine a flashlight on its batteries. You will never have an experience of the self as something new. Oh, there's the self. I saw it go by. No. Everything is quiet. Who knows the thoughts and the space between the things? See, there's nothing there. No thing. Yet it shines as awareness. It has bhava, being. The essentials itself. Always experienced as a hum, ah. Nirupaham, without any form. Bigunaihi, beyond the gunas. Achintyam, you can't think it. It's not figure out of it. Avyapadesham, beyond anything we can say. Next verse.
एवमुक्तो महासेनो मुहूर्तं सुविचार्यतु अप्राप्यान्तं मुने प्रश्ने दीनतरस्ततः न जाने भगवन् कोऽहम् इति सर्वात्मनाप्यहम् स्वभावतस्तु शोचामि कारणं तत्र नाविदम् प्रपन्नस्त्वामहं दीनः किमिदं भगवन् वद. Thus told, Mahasena, reflecting on it for a muhurta or 48 minutes, and not obtaining any final settlement on the question of the sage, said thereafter, being very much miserable, Holy One, I do not thoroughly know who I am. I grieve naturally, and I do not know the reason for that. I, who am wretched, have taken refuge in you. Revered One, tell me what this is.
So the mind of the king is too gross to receive the teaching. So he reflects for a moment, a muhurta, 48 minutes. He doesn't get an answer. How many of us have gone into meditation? We come out and we don't know any more self than when we went in. So he says, I surrender to you. Teach me. Let's see what the son of the sage says.
Sarve shochanti yak kasmin api bandhau mrite sati nasvatmanam vijananti nanyam shochanti chaivahi. When some relative is dead, all people grieve, since they do not know their own self nor another, but they surely suffer grief.
So I think that's the king who's saying that, isn't he?
No, I think that is no, I think that's the sage's
Anyway.
son.
I think it's still
All
the king
people
because the
grieve,
next
but
one
they.
is
Pardon me?
Oh yeah, you
Sorry,
might be right. Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it's still the king. So he's saying everybody grieves when they lose a loved one. It's just natural. Weep, 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 weep. Going on.
Etanme bruhi bhagavan shishyaya tava vai sphutam iti prishto munisuto mahasena matha bravit. Holy One, tell this clearly to me, who am your disciple. Thus asked, the son of the sage then said to Mahasena.
So he has been truthful. He is in no way tried to be a phony spiritual person. So here's a very important point. Don't try to be spiritual. Spirituality is not some ego state you superimpose upon our ulcerated vasanas. No, be authentic. Be authentic. Be willing to tell the truth about what's going on, what you're experiencing. So here the king doesn't try to have phony spirituality. Oh yes, I'm not grieving. I'm not grieving. No, you didn't see me do that. No, he tells the truth with a small t about what his experience is. So important to be authentic in the spiritual life. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Rajan Trunumahadevya Mayaya Mohita Janaha Swatmanam Avidit Paiva Vyartham Shochanti Sarvada. King, listen. People deluded by the elusive power of Maya, of the great goddess Tripura, always grieve vainly, quite without knowing the self.
So here the son of the sage says, King, the cause of the grieving that everyone goes through is spiritual ignorance. Now, we tend to have two words for spiritual ignorance. We have a macrocosmic term, Maya, and our individual ignorance, usually termed avidya. Maya is the inherent power of the infinite. It is Tripura herself, Tripuri, who by virtue of her Maya Shakti spins this illusory world and causes the beings in it to be deluded. For example, remember, you are the god of your dream. You have mini Maya when you go to sleep. Not only do you have the non-apprehension of yourself as the waker, but by virtue of your own individual Maya Shakti, you create the dream. And then the dreamer believes it's real. That's why people dream. It's why people are angry. It's why people are fearful. It's why people fight. The root of it all is spiritual ignorance. Going on.
Yavan naviditam swatma satatvam tavadeva vai jana shochanti vijnaya bhuyah shochanti nakvache. As long as the true nature of one's own self is not known, only so long people grieve. Having known that, they do not grieve again anywhere.
So once you know who you are, we do not grieve the way the ordinary people grieve. The best example of how this works that I can give is it's like going to the movies. So what's the new one? Dark Spider or something like that, the new Marvel movie. What's the name of it? Anyway, it's a Marvel comic book movie. Can you all hear me, or is the thing frozen?
No, we can hear you.
Okay.
No one knows the movie.
So you go to the movie, and there's car chases and people get blown up and shot, and Marvel heroes go, saving the day and stuff like that. And a lot of violence in all these movies. But you come out of the movie theater and you say, oh, that was a really good action movie. And you may laugh, you may weep, your heart may pound in the exciting parts. But at some very deep level, it's just a movie. But you and I, this world, we're like a 5-year-old who goes to a horror film and can't tell the difference between the image on the screen and reality. That's why they have PG-13. They don't want children to get frightened. They don't have viveka. That's our problem. That's our problem. We believe the movie. Next one.
Yatha Nidra mohitatma samavijnaya shochati aindrajalika mantrotha mayaya mohito narah tatprakalpita sarpadi bhitya yadhadi shochati tathaiva mayaya mugdhah swamajñātva prashochati. As one whose mind is stupefied by sleep, grieves without knowing the self, and as a man deluded by the illusion arising out of the incantations of a magician, indeed grieves on account of the fear of serpents and the like, formed out of those incantations, so also one deluded by Maya, or the elusive power of the Supreme, grieves very much without knowing the self. No, A sleeping man not aware of himself, lying in his bed comfortably, may experience a bad dream and grieve.
So this same idea here, they say a magician. This is more like a stage hypnotist. I think our clear modern example for young people is you take a bad acid trip. And all of a sudden you think the snakes are coming out of the walls, or people are chasing you, and the mind produces all this. And it seems so real. But to the man of wisdom or the woman of wisdom, whatever movie the Lord is showing today, comedy, tragedy, thriller, film noir, he watches. He goes nowhere. Life moves in front of him, always new. But he is unattached. Asangoham, 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 puna punaha, Satchidananda Rupaham, aham evaham avyayah. Unattached, unattached, unattached am I again. Of the nature of existence, consciousness, and bliss. I am that I am. Immutable. Wonderful, wonderful. Next verse.
Yatha swapnat prabuddho va Nyatendrajalikagamah Nashochati Pachichanyan Shuchayuktan Hasatyapi Evam Swatmavido Maya Mukta Shochanti na Pachit Shochastva Drishan Maya Mudan Pravihasanti cha. As one who has woken up from sleep, or one who has known the art of the magician, does not grieve anywhere, and also laughs at others filled with sorrow, so those knowing their own self, freed from Maya, do not grieve anywhere. They also laugh at people like you, who are bewildered by Maya and are grieving.
I think that's a bit rude. I would not recommend that you laugh at the ignorance of others. They're likely to hit you. But you know inside it's not real. True story. So we're going back 30 some years. In those days, I used to do Gita class on Wednesday nights in my home in San Francisco. And one of my dear friends and students, Stanley, was dying of AIDS. And I had told his partner, Nick, that when he gets close, call me because I would like to be there when he passes over. So all of a sudden, in the middle of Gita class, I get a call from Nick. If you want to be here, come now. So we took the whole Gita class over to Nick and Stanley's. There was Stanley in his bed. all of us were around it, and we all just tuned up into deep, deep meditation. You could see the subtle body above the physical body just kind of shimmered in the air. And Stanley was doing that breathing that is so similar when a woman is giving birth, when we're having sex, and when we are dying. It's deep panting. All just holding sacred space. Finally, at the last breath, the subtle body just looked across to the other side of the bed, and you know my friend Howard. His eyes were as big as saucers, and he was just grinning from ear to ear. It was such a sacred event. And someone went into the kitchen to tell Stanley's parents that he passed. They came in and they sobbed and sobbed over the corpse. I didn't say it. I was a good yogi, but I thought it. I thought, well, after you finished crying over his body, why don't you go over to the closet and cry over his shoes? That's not Stanley. Truth, it never was. But because our minds were tuned up and quiet, it was so clear, so obvious. These people did not breathe. Later, if ignorance came back, they may have breathed. I don't know. But it's possible to be present to that great life event of someone transitioning and it not be a tragedy. Now, this is not a teaching we give to the ignorant. In Gita, Krishna is very clear. We are not to unsettle the minds of the ignorant with the truth. We consign them to a hell. That doesn't mean the truth is not the truth. Next verse.
Tattvam Vijnayatma Maya Murtiya Durgamam Jahishokam Mahabaho Mohatham Saddimarshanat. Strong-armed one. Therefore, knowing the essential nature of the self and crossing over the impossible Maya, give up your sorrow, born from delusion, through reflection on the reality that is the self.
So, not only do we give up the sorrow at the loss, the apparent death of the bodies of people, but let's make it a little subtler and more personal. Everything in this life, every experience, every object, every relationship ends. You know, I jokingly say to people, all relationships end in death or divorce, without exception. That doesn't mean not have relationships. It means cherish them. But know what's coming. Everything ends. Your job, your home, There's a wonderful saying from the Hebrew scripture in the book of Job. It's a wonderful prayer. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Such is life. Now, some people hear this teaching and they think it means my heart's shut down and I won't love and I won't care and I won't engage. I'll just be numb and neutral. It's not saying that. And when Swamiji was having doubts about this sort of thing, Swami Tapovanam said, "Do you see the mountain over yonder?" And Swamiji said, "Yes." He says, "Isn't it beautiful?" And Swamiji says, "Oh, yes, it's beautiful." And he says, "Nobody can own a mountain. We enjoy, but we don't possess." Or a sunset. You can see a beautiful sunset, but as the sun dips into the sea, do you grieve the sunset? It was only 15, 20 minutes and it's gone. If you grieve the loss of the sunset, you miss the beauty of the night sky. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Jim, I had
Yes.
I had a thought on what you just mentioned. Not a question, but just a comment.
Please.
What you said just now is a very beautiful and profound thought, which does not come up in mainstream discourse at all. And a very nice example is just a few days ago, a very famous physicist, Steven Weinberg, who won the Nobel Prize in 1917, and he passed away. And amongst his quotes, which are famous, he says that he marvels at the fact that this universe is so difficult to understand, and if there is any meaning to life at all, it is in trying to make sense of this universe. But he also ends on a very hopeless note that if you're not trying to make sense of the universe, there's no point in living. And what you said is a very beautiful counterpoint to that, that uh, there is beauty, and that itself is meaning to existence.
We can either see a random or chaotic, nihilistic universe that we can never understand, or we can endeavor to perceive meaning in everything.
Right.
That's part of who and what we are. One of my favorite drawings, or collection of drawings, there's a collection of, I think they're charcoal drawings of Leonardo da Vinci, of grotesques. They're people from the streets of I think it's Florence, and it might be Rome, I can't remember, but they're, peasant people with big noses and warts and their teeth are crooked. I don't know if have you ever seen those drawings?
Yes. Yeah.
And they're exquisite. So you and I might look at a beggar in the street and they smell and, ooh, get away from me. I look the other way. So easy to do in India.
Yes.
Because there's so much poverty.
Right.
But what Leonardo did was look at this face and not grieve that it didn't look like the face of David, but see its inherent character, its inherent beauty in what it is. And of course, whenever we see beauty, we love. I love those drawings. There's lots of mystery and mysticism in that idea.
I think similarly, there are a few paintings of Rembrandt of things like worn out shoes, which
Yes.
convey the same thing.
Yes, exactly. But can you look at the stupidity of the egos at a faculty meeting
Touché.
with the same attitude? I've been to those, believe me.
Right.
But it is what it is. And you see the human drama. You see these suffering people. You see what is. Oh, there's that poor human being trying to make him or herself feel okay by trying to be important. Isn't that what we're all doing, or they are all doing, perhaps?
Yes.
And can you see that there's great pathos in that? It's only when I don't like what they are doing and I don't have my agenda being attended to, it starts to be problematic. Guess how I know this, Uday?
You were a faculty member yourself?
I was. Thank God, as a lecturer, I did not have to go to too many faculty meetings. Only tenure track and tenured people had to do that. I tell people, they had professors, assistant professors, associate professors, full-time lecturers, and pond scum. That was my official title. I was the lowest of the low. But you're on to something there. You're on to something there. So we let go, but keep our hearts open. Keep our hearts open. Be vulnerable. A lot of the people I know who are caught up in the world of psychotherapy, there's discussions about boundaries. And I'm sure that's very important for ordinary people in ignorance. But what a yogi endeavors to do is get rid of boundaries. So there's nothing left to be hurt. Very good point. Very good point. All right. Any other thoughts on this?
Coincidentally,
wait. Go ahead.
Coincidentally, this book is about Tripura Sundari, who is the beauty of the three worlds.
Yes. We say Brahma Satyam Jagan Mitya, Brahman alone is real, the phenomenal world is illusory. But we also say, Sarvam Kalavidam Brahma. It's all God. Sarvam Maya, Sarvam Ananda. All is Maya, all is bliss. What it's not, that person over there is separate from me, and she has the power to make me happy. And that person over there, he's a jerk, and he has the power to make me miserable. That's conducive to bondage. All right, next verse.
इत्युक्तः पुनरप्याह महासेनो मुनीश्वरम् भगवन् यस्त्वया प्रोक्तो दृष्टान्तो विषमः सहि. Thus told, Mahasena said to the sage once again, Holy One, that example told by you is indeed unsuitable.
So his mind is still gross, and the example of all the people who have died, etc., that you're not your body, he says it's not suitable. It doesn't click. Going on.
Swapno va maigo vapi shunyatma bhasate param ayam jagrat prapanchastu satya sarvartha sadhakah abhadita sthiraschapi katham swapna samo bhave ityukta punarachakyo muniputroti buddhiman. The world of a dream or of Maya appears as having the nature of a void after the experience is over. But this world of the waking state is true and accomplishes all purposes, is unrefuted and firm. How can it be equal to a dream? Thus told, the son of the sage was extremely intelligent, said again.
So we have this classic comparison. I do it all the time, comparing the waking state to the dream state. In the dream state, we create a world of objects, emotions, and thoughts. We're identified with a dream body. But upon awakening, I see that it's void, it's empty, it's not real, it's shunya. Here, King says, but the waking state world seems different. It's solid, it's continuous. It doesn't seem to disappear the way the dream state disappears. I don't think your comparison is valid. Let's see what happens.
Shruno Rajan Yatpayoktam Drishtanto Vishamastviti Esha Moho Dvitiyaste Swapne Swapnasya Yadrishah. King, listen, what was told by you, namely the example is unsuitable. This is your second delusion, similar to that of a dream person in a dream. No, the dream person is himself a false appearance. If the dream relates to a delusion, like the person seeing a snake in a rope and being frightened thereby, it is a delusion within another delusion.
So his idea that the teaching that he got is not real is kind of an illusion within an illusion. I think a better example of this is what happens when people take a psychedelic. When I was doing sadhana 40 some years ago, it was mushrooms and LSD. Now it's ayahuasca and ecstasy, you know. And people, the thing that the drug tells you is the world that you see on the drug is real. It's more real than the waking state. And what it is a double samsara. The drug state is an illusion about this world, which is an illusion about ultimate reality. So also, the dream state is an illusion about this world. Oh, I thought the dream was so vivid, so real. Oh, I see it's not real. It was an illusion about the waking state, which is also an illusion about reality. When you dream at night, in fact, it's a dream within a dream. That's what the scripture is saying. Going on.
Jim, I had a funny thought.
Yes.
If the Mandukya Upanishad were to be rewritten today, they would have to talk of 5 states rather than 4 states to include the psychedelic as one more mental state.
When I teach it, I just simply say psychedelic phenomena is just another, it's like a dream state. That's all. But you could do 5 instead of 4. And remember, the turiya is not a state.
Right.
It's not like 4 legs of a cow. It is 4th in the series of discussion. We have waking, dream, and deep sleep. Turiya is not another state. Turiya is the awareness in which those 3 exist. Turiya pervades the 3 mind states. Very important to understand that, because people keep thinking I want to get to Turiya. You know, no, Turiya is another name for yourself. Is that making sense?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, next verse. How are we doing on time?
Swapna vrikshopi tatkale kim na sadhayate hitam panthanam kim na harati tapam chaya pradanatah. Does not even a dream tree bring about a benefit at that time? Does it not take away the distress due to heat of travelers by giving shade?
So if you're, let's say, sick, and you have a dream and it's a pleasant dream, you're in a celestial realm with celestial damsels or celestial boys, and you're having one wild time. During the dream, feeling sick is not available. But when you wake up, you're still sick. Oh, I had the weirdest fever dreams. So the experiences of the dream state cannot alleviate what's going on in the waking state, but it's not available when we're dreaming. Going on.
Phaladhyai swapnamartyadin tatarpayati kimbada swapne kvabadhita swapnaha kvasthita kvasthitarashchopalakshitah. Say, does it not satisfy the men and others in the dream by its fruits and the like? Where is a dream man refuted in a dream, and where is he observed as not stable? Note, in a dream, all experiences appear real and stable for the duration of the dream.
So from the viewpoint of the waker, the dream seems fantastic and impossible. But when you're in the dream, to the dreamer, the dream experiences seem real. Now, I had dinner with one of my students last night, and she was saying she had a dream and she realized she was dreaming in the dream. She was doing some dream shaping. She decided to, I think she was saying, going to paint the front of the house that she said. So she had some sense of willful volition in the dream state. You can have that. But for most of us, we are passive to the dream state, much like the ego is passive to this world. I feel like it's all happening to me. But the point that the Muniputra is saying is, to the dreamer, the dream is just as stable as this state is to the waker. What he's doing, he's riffing on the same kind of stuff that we find in the second chapter of Mandukya. He's just doing it in the guise of the story. Going on.
Akhilam badhitam jagrat dashayamiti Ch13 jagrat prapanchopi sarvaha sushuptau kim na badhitah. If you say that everything is refuted in the waking state after the dream has ended, listen, is not the entire world of the waking state also refuted in deep sleep?
So, what he's driving at are what are the reasons by which I believe the waking state is real and I discern that the dream state is unreal. And to kind of cut to the chase, our definition of reality with a capital R is that which is never subject to negation. So, when I'm dreaming, it seems very real. When I wake up, it's negated. It's gone. But when I'm awake and I have deep sleep, the waking state world is negated. Then many people will say, well, no, it's memory that ties the waking state together. Every day I get up and, it's the same to some degree as it was the day before. There's cause and effect, continuity. And actually, that's not necessarily true. What is today, the 29th of July? What were you doing on the 29th of July 10 years ago? Most of us probably have no idea. Uday, do you have kids? I can't remember.
No,
No, okay. So
I have a dog.
You have a dog, okay. But if you've got siblings, we can look at it this way. Have you ever chatted with a sibling, any of us, about some childhood event, or even chatted with your own parents? And you're convinced such and such happened. And then your sibling says, well, no, that's not what happened. It was so and so. Or a parent will say, no, that's not what happened at all, dear. Where it shakes your sense of your memory, of your reality. Memory is not what ties it all together. There are huge gaps in our experience. What ties it all together is I. That's what is never negated. Double negative. Oh well. Going on. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. We need to stop. How much longer? This chapter, I think, is quite long, isn't it?
Yeah, there are many more verses.
All right. So we'll end here tonight. So your assignment Your assignment is to take up the possibility that what you're seeing is nothing but mental projection. Understand that if you can see a world, it means your mind is projecting your prejudices. But don't take your prejudices as real. It's just what your mind is presenting to you. I can't remember who said it. Nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. That's very good Vedanta. Or to use Ramana Maharshi's very famous metaphor, the self is like the lamp in the movie projector. The film is like our minds. And the image on the screen is my life, my experience of the world. All right, we'll end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all. Thank you, Ganesh, for chanting.